Hey folks, welcome to the Jake and John Show, the world's greatest podcast. This is John here, and I'm with my brother Jake.
What's up, everybody?
And today, we're going to talk about a few things, but obviously we got to cover the fucking Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor fight because that was the shit.
Yeah, dude, that turned out to be a total war, man. I was kind of rooting for Nate because I felt like he was the underdog, but that turned out to be just a fucking amazing fight.
It was, dude. It's kind of pissing me off because if you look on social media, well, not everybody, but a lot of people were saying it's fixed. If that's fucking fixed, I mean, come on, dude. You can score it a bunch of different ways. You can do it like the old school way. Whoever looks the most fucked up lost the fight. So if you look at it from that aspect, you could say that Nate lost. But if you look at the pure judging criteria, it's a very close call on who actually won. My gut told me that Conor won the fight, but if they would have gave it to Nate, just like a close split decision, I wouldn't have been mad at that.
Yeah, not at all, because they both fought like warriors, man. That was definitely like fight of the night, and you can see why UFC 200 just wasn't the show that this was, man. Like I would say that this UFC was a better show altogether than 200 was, even with all its promotion, but everything just fell out of it. And like you were saying with the whole it's fixed thing, nothing really supports that, right? Because Dana came out almost immediately and said, yeah, we're not doing 3 right now. So if that was their immediate game, because I mean, obviously they're making shitloads of money off that, you would think, yeah, let's capitalize on that now. But that doesn't appear to be the case at all.
Yeah, I saw an article too that said, well, I'll get back on point of what you're saying, but that apparently they made roughly, I think Nate made $11 million and Conor made $13 million, and that's including sponsors.
That's like the full pay, because I saw Conor, I don't really understand the pay structure totally, but I saw something like maybe his base pay or whatever was like $3 million and Nate's was $2 million or something like that.
Yeah, and I believe that Conor holds the record for the high, aside from maybe Brock Lesnar. I'm not completely sure about that. But that's a lot of fucking money, but from their sponsorship, and then there's the pay-per-view points. So I believe the way it works is once it gets above a certain amount, like 200 or 300,000 pay-per-view buys, something like that, then their percentage comes in. So for every buy after that, they might get 5% or 10% or however that works.
Okay, yeah. I saw something about at UFC 200, I guess as of the end of that, Brock Lesnar had the highest paid fight, but they said Conor took that back immediately with this UFC.
Yeah, that shit's so crazy. Conor McGregor, man, there's some people who don't like him, but I don't understand how you can't like the guy. He's fucking hilarious. He has great charisma. He's a good-looking guy. He's a fucking awesome fighter. He has all the things that make somebody a superstar. I mean, I get it. When somebody is really assertive and confident and sure of themselves, there's always people out there that want to take him down a notch.
I think the haters are good for him, though, because they keep his name out there constantly because people are constantly bitching about it. But I think that comes with anything. Anybody who's famous, you're going to have tons of people just steadily talking shit for no reason other than, I don't even know if it's jealousy. It's really just like the internet generation of people out there talking shit about everyone.
Yeah, and controversy in itself is great for combat sports because even if people hate you, they'll still tune in and buy tickets to see you get your ass whooped. So that's a huge benefit but the thing about him is he's not necessarily a heel. He's a hero to millions of people, and then millions of people fucking hate him. So he's a 50-50 fighter. He's heel and hero. And I don't ever remember really seeing that aside from maybe Brock Lesnar. Most people either generally like a fighter or they don't like him. It's not just so even like that.
Well, he's a little bit unique in that he's actually winning fights consistently. And I think that's kind of the deal is because it's like the same thing happened to Ronda Rousey, right? Is she stayed on top for so long that I think she had enough time to build up that 50-50 base where a lot of fighters, they come in real strong and then kind of fizzle out. So I think that's what happens is if you're in the spotlight long enough, it catches up with you.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. But going back to that fight for a second, man, is before every fight, you and I and our other brothers, we have 2 other brothers, we always say when it's a great main event or co-main event like that, we're like, dude, I just hope it's a 5-round fucking war where they just lay it on the line. The fucking there's blood all over the mat. We always hope for that. We obviously don't want our favorite fighters to get hurt, but it's just that we want to see that blood and guts. That
you think about like Lawler and Rory McDonald. Like, I dare you to find a better fight than that. You know, I mean, as far as watching it all the way through, because a quick knockout is exciting, but man, those 5-round wars where it's a real test of skill that's not just laying on the mat the whole time, man, those are, to me, the most exciting types of fights.
And speaking of quick knockouts, what about that Rumble Johnson versus Glover Teixeira? That was fucking crazy. I hope I said that. Is it Teixeira? He's Brazilian, so I'm close enough. But that was a fucking crazy knockout, man. You enjoyed it, right? Oh,
that was amazing. And one thing I like about him that's kind of in contrast to because Conor and Nate, they had the whole press conference and everything where they were chunking water bottles, and that kind of shit kind of wears on me a little bit because I'm like, man, this is turning into fucking WWE. You know what I mean? And then it was kind of refreshing for me when after the knockout, and remember DC stood up and they were doing the kind of call out thing, and people were everybody boos the shit out of DC like every time he's on the screen, but Rumble was like, hey man, you got to respect him, he's the champion. You know what I mean? Like, I appreciate that sportsmanship some. I get it. Like, I want fighters to promote, and it's always more exciting when there's like some genuine beef there. But I fear it's going to turn into like, you remember the Mike Tyson Lennox Lewis fights? Like, it was so over promoted, and they were like, these dudes truly hate each other. They had like a line of cops down the middle, kind of like they did with this Nate and Conor fight. And then at the end of the thing, they're like hugging and kissing, and Mike Tyson's like, yeah, buddy, we promoted the shit out of this thing, and that's kind of how I felt like at the end of the Conor Nate fight, because afterwards they're like hugging and shit. And I understand they both just like made millions of dollars, so it's hard to have a lot of hate for that. But that's the only thing. I kind of fear that level of promotion.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, dude. A cool thing though is Rumble is he's humble Rumble, right? Okay, but yeah, he's always been basically a humble guy as far as I can remember, because I don't know if you remember back this far, but he actually used to fight at 170 pounds, and now he fights at 205, and he's fought as heavy as heavyweight before. He actually beat Andrei Arlovski, broke his jaw, which that's no easy task. I mean, he was a former UFC heavyweight champion. But what I'm trying to say is even when Rumble is being so humble like that, he can still sell fights because he's so exciting, as he brings the same aura, in a sense, that Mike Tyson did back in the day. I mean, obviously not quite as big as that, not around the world, but if you look at his knockouts, even at welterweight, he fucks people up, and he has just so much power in both feet and in both hands, and you don't see that a lot. But with him, it's almost getting to the point where I think his opponents are going to be afraid. It's going to be hard for him to get a really tough fight, because if you get knocked out cold, your stock drops a lot.
Yeah. And
so if you're fighting Anthony Johnson, there's a really fucking good chance that that's going to happen. But DC beat him before, and DC took his best shot whenever they fought each other for I think it was the interim belt. But anyway, so word on the street is that John Jones is coming back soon, and that whatever USADA busted him for turned out to be a mistake, or it wasn't necessarily illegal. And so Dana White posted something, I think it was on Twitter today, and he says that John Jones and Rumble Johnson would be a good fight, or that he's considering it as a title eliminator fight to fight Daniel Cormier. So I would watch the fucking shit out of it. If there's one fight that I need to happen, it's that fucking fight.
That's amazing news. I thought for sure he was going to be out for a while. It was, multi-year suspension was the last thing I'd heard, so that's great. But yeah, like back what you were saying with Rumble is, I think you're right. He's gonna sell fights. I mean, because if you're likable and then you perform, I think that's kind of that's all there is to it, right? That's the magic that sells fights. And if you go in and steady knock people out, and with such skill and power, I think people are going to tune in.
Yeah, and in that case as well, whenever all you really need is his highlight reel, and it doesn't hurt him. Again, this may sound cheesy to some people, but being a decent looking dude and having a decent character does not help you when you're trying to sell fights. So he's got that going for him. He's got a great fucking a knockout record, a highlight reel from hell, and they can just show that reel, dude, and it's going to pull people in, because they're not just knockouts. He knocks people the fuck out. It's just, he's a fucking an animal, dude. A complete fucking destroyer.
What did you think of the Cowboy Cerrone Rick Story fight?
I thought that fight was the shit because my concern when Donald Cerrone moved up from 155 to 170 pounds is that he would be too small. But really, he looked bigger than Rick the Horror Story. I wish I could do Bruce Buffer's voice. He actually looked bigger. I mean, Rick looked a little bit thicker, but overall, Cowboy looked a lot bigger. But anyway, to the point, that was a great fight, man. Cowboy, dude, I mean, if you've been following him for years, all the way back to, for fuck's sake, whatever the fight league was that the UFC purchased, I could tell you any other time of day. But anyway, if you've been following him back then to like 2008, 2009, whenever that was that he started there, maybe it was 2007. But he's always been a badass. He's always been a really good striker with slick jiu-jitsu, especially off his back. And he looked amazing. I mean, his pinpoint accuracy. He wasn't Rick Story's. One of his things is brawling and bullying, where he'll get you up on the cage and just start fucking ripping body shots, man. And he's torn some dudes up with that. And there was one point in the fight, if I remember right, where he actually had Cerrone in that position, but he couldn't maintain it and he couldn't do anything. And Cerrone just fucking. I mean, how long did that fight go? Did it make it? Did it stop in the third round?
I think it was the third round. Yeah, I know it went a couple.
Yeah, I just, in my mind, I thought that if Cowboy was going to win, it would just be a close decision and that Rick Story might gas out a little bit. But, man, he just, all 3 rounds, if I can remember right, he owned him, man.
Yeah, it was a killer fight, man. So afterwards, I sat down and watched Fight Pass for a little while after everybody left, and I went back and watched the kind of Tank Abbott anthology of when he used to win fights. I went back and watched the fight with John Mature. Do you remember that one?
Oh, I do remember it very well.
Yeah, the girls had never seen it before, and I'm not sure if our other brothers had either. So, yeah, Tank comes in there and knocks this dude out pretty quick. He's the Hawaiian bone breaker or something like that. This dude's like knocked out on the ground and just trembling involuntarily. And Tank rolls back around and like makes fun of the dude, man. He like sticks his arms out and kind of like shakes like he is. It was just one of the like most disrespectful things I've ever seen. And then I thought, well, let's go check out some of these other fights. I hadn't seen him in so long. And you remember the one where he fought Cal Worsham, who was the Taekwondo instructor, I think?
I do remember that.
Yeah, so he goes and tries to throw this dude out of the octagon. Can you even imagine that happening today? Like, this was such a different world. And then it was also strange because the fight got called. Really, well, I couldn't tell if Cal tapped or if they just broke up the fight. But as soon as they pulled him apart, Cal was pissed. Like something had happened, but I still wasn't clear on what it was. I don't know if Tank hit him after he tapped or if he was just pissed off because they called it. Do you remember any of that?
I believe that Cal did tap. Was that the same fight where he had his knee on his face and he was grinding him into the fence?
No, he was just coming down on him on a big right. That was kind of the last hit of the fight, and then everything just went kind of haywire.
Yeah, it seems like, if I remember, it's Cal was tapping. Maybe he was tapping due to strikes or some type of, I don't know, he was tapping, but Tank didn't stop and was obviously aware of the tap. But I'd have to rewatch it again, but it's one of those things is every fighter knows and is told you don't stop attacking until the referee pulls you off. I mean, you'll see fighters stop early sometimes because if they know their opponent's knocked out and they're just a decent dude, they're not just going to keep wailing on a knocked out person and add to that concussion.
Tank appears to be the kind of dude who doesn't really care about any of that. I mean, as far as he's not going to stop to help you in any kind of way. And another fight I watched was, you remember the one with Steve Nelmark? And so this is the fight where the knockout, Tank hits him and he falls backwards kind of on the fence in just an unnatural position.
Oh, yeah. He hits him. Is it with I think it's a right hand or right hook?
Big right.
Yeah, and he falls backwards and his neck like gets stuck in the cage. And it's that's one of the nastiest knockouts I've seen. The only one that I've seen that's would even fit in that type of category was, I think it was an amateur or a low-level pro fight that took place in Alaska a few years ago. And I don't remember the name of the fighters, but one fighter knocked the other fighter out, obviously. And the fighter who got knocked out, he fell straight backwards, and the top of his head caught him on the fence. And it was an unnatural, contortionist, I'm possessed by Satan move, and he was just stuck on the fence like that. That's the nastiest.
Like still standing?
Yeah, that's the nastiest fucking KO I've ever fucking seen, man.
It's weird, man. Like with the number of knockouts there are, especially now in the UFC, because there's knockouts almost every card, that you don't see more of those just really kind of horrific ones. Usually it's, they knock them out and they hit the mat. But I was, going back through some of those old ones, man, those are terrifying knockouts.
I think the last really nasty one like that was back in maybe 2011 or 2012, and it was Terry Edom, who I think is from the UK, versus Edson Barboza from Brazil. And Edson Barboza hit him with this beautiful roundhouse. Heel caught Terry Edom right on the temple. And he did that thing where sometimes when guys get knocked out, their bodies freeze up almost in a Walking Dead zombie position, and they fall onto their back and they start to shake. And those are nasty knockouts. Like, I'm a fan and I love knockouts, but I don't necessarily want to see dudes get hurt because then they can't come back.
Yeah.
So, but that was up there with one of the nastiest fucking knockouts I've seen.
That reminds me, man. I don't think we talked about in the last one that fucking knockout, or well, it wasn't even really a knockout. The injury with Cyborg Santos, man. Holy shit.
Oh, yeah. Cyborg Santos, and we're talking about the male fighter, not his ex-wife, Christina Cyborg Santos, but they had the same name, basically. But, yeah, he got, what was that dude's name that did that? Michael Hall, maybe? Yeah, I don't know, but anybody who watches MMA knows exactly what we're talking about. And, yeah, there was a flying knee, right?
Yeah.
Caught him in the forehead, and he literally caved in that dude's forehead, his skull, and there was multiple fractures you could see in the x-ray.
Yeah, those x-ray. Did you see? So he ended up not having surgery there and ended up going home to have surgery. And did you see the pictures afterwards, like the x-ray after they did the repairs?
Yeah, it was. I don't know shit about surgery, especially on skulls, but it looked like it was the skull was soldered. That's what it looked like to bring it back into form. You saw that's the same picture you're talking about.
Yeah,
right?
There's just all kinds of. I mean, it's clearly some kind of like metal work under the skin of his forehead, but it looked like his forehead looked like it was in pretty good shape, like all things considered. Because I figured, man, that's going to be all fucked up when they have to put in whatever pins or however the hell you do that. I don't even know, but yeah, it looks like he made out pretty good. But he keeps saying crazy shit like I'm going to be back in 6 months and stuff like that. I just don't see it, man. One more like that was luck. Like one more hit like that, you might be done, man. You don't get up from that, you know.
Yeah, I don't want to see him come back because he's been in some great fights, man. He's an entertaining fighter. He's got balls of steel. He always comes to throw down. But I think on top of that, he's 37 or 38 years old now. And it's one thing if his win rate was higher. Well, first of all, if you get knocked out like that and your skull is literally caved in and cracked, you don't need to come back. We know you're tough as shit. We know you've had so many great fights over the years. Don't come back, right? Because now when I'm watching you, it's almost like a sickness. Like I'm thinking in my mind, I'm watching this because I want to see if this dude dies. You know?
I just don't see how that works. Because I mean, you're one hard hit, I think, from that killing you. You know, I mean, or if not killing you, then just serious brain damage.
Yeah, and he's known for training hardcore, balls out, and he's been fighting for a long time. There's no telling, even in practice, how many times he's been KO'd in professional, amateur competition, all those combined. Now that on top of it, time to hang it up, man. You don't owe the sport shit. You don't owe fans anything. Just teach jiu-jitsu. No more striking.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think we had a few other things we wanted to talk about today. On our notes here, we have the art of over-communicating.
Oh, man. Yeah. There are certain times in life where you don't need to communicate as much as you do, and you don't need to over-explain as much as you do. And when I say you, I'm not talking to my brother Jake. I'm saying to people in general. And we've probably all been in circumstances like this. And I think that the two times that this happens the most is either when you're working on something, like a project, or you're at work with someone and you're working as a team, and they're trying to continuously over-explain themselves or to micromanage the situation. And even on the simplest task, it becomes so much that now the task becomes extremely stressful and way overcomplicated. Shit gets out of hand, money gets wasted, friendships get lost. It's not good. So the other would be over-planning. This can be so many different things, but what I mean by that is if you want to spend time with, whether it's your lover or a family member or a best friend, they're trying to plan everything out in such a way that first of all, there's no room for anything to be spontaneous, because you're constantly fixed to a schedule, but also that schedule in itself, it brings stress because everybody may not be on the same page. Maybe you got a list of instructions on what you're supposed to do, but everybody's not on the same page. Somebody's late. Somebody forgot an item they were supposed to bring. And then there's that sense of disappointment in the air, and everything starts to get rattled, and the schedule starts to what's the word I'm looking for? Just get fucked up, basically. And it just brings this whole new stress into a situation that was supposed to be fun. And I'm not down with that, with the over planning. Just, if you're going to plan something out, bring the basics, the necessities of life, but most importantly, bring a fun attitude, as cheesy as that sounds, and an open mind, so that you can just have a great time. You're with me on that, right?
Yeah, and these things get exponentially harder when the more people you have too, right? So it's easy to pull something together with, say 5 people. But when you start getting up in 10, 15, 20 people, it's almost impossible because it's just too many people, right? I mean, it's one thing if you end up having like a family reunion or something where you're expecting to have a lot of people, where you have just kind of this open space where people can come and go as they please. But it turns into a situation of like trying to herd cats when you have that many people. There's just no way, because you're doing pretty good if you get 5, 8 people together with everybody's schedules coinciding and their ideas of what are fun and things like that. But yeah, you start getting large numbers on that. I think you have to let it be more spontaneous. It's just got to be open.
And maybe it's because we're men, or maybe it's our personality types. I would say that we have a large portion of introvert. And we like to weigh and consider our options and think about things, but also we like to think objectively, and I'm not going to go into that whole spiel about that. But what I'm saying is when I show up, maybe I made the plan with you, okay? And maybe it's poor character on my part. I made the plan. I said I was going to be there. I was going to bring this. I was going to do that. But sometimes when I get there, I don't feel like it anymore. And maybe I felt like it 2 months ago. Maybe I had too many beers. Maybe I just woke up on a Sunday morning and I had some sausage and eggs and some biscuits and I was feeling good and I was down. But now, 2 months later, I just, for whatever reason, I don't feel like it. So I'm not into the overscheduling. If somebody says, hey, meet me at Saturday at 9 and we're going to go do this, that sounds like a reasonable plan. But at the same time, I want to say this. I tend to choose my friends closely. And I tend to hang out with people who are not very many, but ones who don't necessarily get upset if I'm like, I don't feel like it. I'm not coming. And I like the kind of person that's like, fuck it. I don't feel like it either. That's the person that's the guy. That's my best friend. That's who I'm looking for, that kind of personality. Or even if they still want to do it, they're like, oh, that's cool, bro. I understand. Like, that's the kind of person I want to be around. And that's the kind of person I want to be.
You may hit the nail on the head. It may just be like a guy thing or something, because like if we're going to have like a get together, if we're going to everybody came over to my place for the UFC, like the details of food and all that, I lose interest almost immediately. Like, cause in my mind, we'll figure it out. If we have to, we'll go to the grocery store and buy a plate of cheese and crackers or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's a detail that's just not that important to me, where it just depends on the person, though, because I guess it depends on what your priority is. Like, because my priority, like in that situation, is to watch the fight. Like, I really don't care all that much about dinner, and I definitely don't want to spend any time making it. You know what I mean? Because like, you have that time. I want to hang. I want to just like hang out with everybody, talk and just hang out. I don't want to be hanging out in the kitchen and cooking or out by the grill for like 4 hours in the summer heat, because it just doesn't make any sense. That, to me, that steals all the joy from that little situation.
And I want to go back to, maybe it is a man thing, because generally speaking, women like to host. They want to be the host, or at least they think they do, until they actually have to host and they're like, holy shit, this fucking sucks. But men, from what I've experienced, especially, when we get together, the brothers, very close friends, the main thing, let's use a UFC fight, for example. The main thing is to watch the fight, because I know for sure I'm bringing my own beer. So that's not a problem. I don't like to eat when I'm drinking, so I'm not worried about food. And if I'm going to drink, I'm probably going to get drunk, and I'm going to want wings after. And so I'll either bring some frozen wings with me, or I'll just call up Pizza Hut and order them after, or something along those lines. Keep it simple. But Yeah, once the fights are on, I don't give a fuck about anything, dude, except for the fights and maybe going to get a beer between rounds every now and then. All I care about. So, but yes, I'm losing track here as usual, but yeah, I think maybe it is a man thing. It's our brains. You know, this is another thing. I don't give a fuck. Women say that they can multitask better than men. I do not believe this whatsoever. They may do many things at once, many more than I would choose to do, but that doesn't mean that they're doing them well or in the correct order or at all. So, yeah, I'm a great multitasker. I can do 2 or 3 things at once, multi being more than one. I'm great at it.
We're going to go on a side rail here a little bit. So you believe you can multitask well? What kind of things can you do where you multitask and you feel like you're doing it well?
Okay, that's easy. Okay, for example, I'm going to go a little deep here. Back in the day, I used to play World of Warcraft all the time. All the time. And I loved it too. Fuck you. So anyway, I could do so much shit in that game at once, it would fucking blow your mind. People think it's a fucking video game. Who gives a shit? No. It's not that simple. I'm not going to go into it if you don't know about it, but I'm selling shit on the auction house. I'm fucking running a guild. I'm fucking going out and doing player versus player combat. I'm doing all this shit. I have like 30 hotkeys set up. That is multitasking, my friend. Okay, let me tell you what is not multitasking in my opinion. If you put a plate of nachos in the microwave and then you go turn on the TV and start the washer, that's not multitasking. You're doing something in order. Multitasking to me is you're doing shit all at once. Like you're fucking, I don't know, not Optimus Prime. What's his name? Voltron. Like you have all this shit connected to you, but you've become one. It's like the Holy Trinity. Like that's multitasking. It's like it's so much more complex than just doing a few menial tasks in order.
So yeah, I think you're talking about the difference between multitasking and efficiency. Like if I go and start cooking dinner and while dinner's cooking, do a load of laundry and sweep the floor and vacuum or something like that. That's doing things efficiently because you're not doing any of those things necessarily at the same time. Or you're not doing things that require your attention at the same time. Because I find personally that if you're talking about true multitasking, it's something I don't necessarily like. There's only a few situations where I feel like that multitasking is beneficial to me at all. And like if I'm going for a walk and listening to a podcast at the same time or listening to music, like that's multitasking to me. That means because I'm, exercising and I'm listening to something that stimulates my brain at the same time. Or if I'm out for a walk and I'm talking to my wife and my kids, or, that's kind of like a multitask where I feel it is beneficial. But I find in most things and it really hits me at work is I just don't have enough maybe brain power to do a lot of things well at the same time. You know what I mean? It's like I can do individual tasks fantastic because it seems like, especially as the older I get, everything seems to get more detailed and requires more. And if you try to do too much of that at once, especially if they're not related, to me, it just becomes this waste of time where you do 10 things poorly rather than one thing great.
Right. And that's what I mean is, listen, ladies, I'm not trying to bust balls here, bust labias. All I'm saying is don't tell me I can't tell you how many times, not only have I read it, but I've heard it in person. And when I hear it in person, I give the same Bert stare that I'm giving you right now because I don't believe you. You may have many special qualities. You're a great mother. You're good at your job. You make good food. But what you're not good at is multitasking. You're just not. I'm sorry. Surely there's outliers. I've never met one. But if we're breaking this down Neil deGrasse Tyson style multiverse, surely there's a woman out there who's great at multitasking. I've just never seen it, and I've never met him.
Okay, fair enough, yeah. And so at risk of getting you in trouble in some way, do you have any, and this could be from a previous life, do you have any examples of these multitasks that have been the failures you describe?
Well, I don't know if I'm at liberty to discuss such things. But now, you know what? I think it's safer for me so that nothing feels like it's insinuated or, fuck that. I'm smarter than that.
You just multitask, bro. You said something and then defended your life at the same time.
I told you, I'm fucking awesome at it. I'm one of the best, honestly.
Dude, that's awesome. So, okay, let's get back to the over-communication a little bit because this is another thing. I was just thinking about it because this is something that happens to me at work, too. And so in your job, do you ever have somebody email you and then they're like standing at your back like 3 seconds later and they're like, hey, did you see that email? It's like, dude, with current laws of physics, I couldn't even have clicked the fucking button before you're over here with your dick on my back. You know what I mean? Like, it couldn't even have happened. And to me, that's such a strange thing. Like, why would you do that? Do you run across that at all, ever?
In my current career, I don't. Yeah, I like to call it career.
You know, and it could happen that someday people from our work discover this podcast and listen to it. And if you do, I'm trying to help you. If you send me an email, give me 15. You know what I mean? Like, if you send me an email, then send me an IM, and then walk over, we're over communicating here, man. Like, we're solving nothing. It would have been better just to walk over. The other stuff was a waste of time at that point, right?
Yes, and if your office was out in the streets, I think that such behavior would warrant a backhand coming from all the way downtown, because that shit is annoying. But honestly, the current place that I work now, I love it. We don't have any problems like that. But I used to be in the military, and I used to work for the military after I got out of the military. That's a lot of fucking militaries. But I ran into problems like this frequently. And the thing about this is, in the military, things can be a bit more urgent or more important. Things got to get done. There's lots of money, human lives on the line, this type of thing. But a lot of the times, that's not the case. If you're sending me a fucking email about a potluck, which is where everybody buys food and puts in a number or something, I guess that's what it is. I never participated because it's stupid. But if it's some kind of charity thing or something, okay, I'll give money. If it's for kids and I don't think it's a bullshit organization or something, I'll hook you up. But don't fucking come after me like a vulture because I'm not responding to your bullshit about the women's volleyball tournament on Friday. I'm working 12-hour shifts, motherfucker. I'm covered in grease. I'm tired. I'm not giving you $10 so you fucking dildos can go out there and throw a fucking ball around. A bunch of fucking office pussies never turned a wrench. I'm not doing it. Fuck off. Sorry, man. I kind of...
Oh, wow. Yeah. No, that's
zoned out there for a second.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, I've never been hounded, I don't guess, on a... now that you say that, I probably have on a potluck or something like that. But I don't not hounded as much though. Like, I don't, maybe somebody follows up a little bit and they're like, "Hey, are you going to bring something?" But I've never had it where it's just constant bombardment. Usually it's somebody. It's almost always it's somebody sends me an email and then walks out. Either that or they'll come over and tell me something, and I don't know. This is really a communication problem. This is more just a personality problem. But because they come over and they tell me something with various levels of urgency, but then expect me to stop what I'm doing right now and move directly to that. You know what I mean? And sometimes you can do that, but a lot of times you shouldn't even have to, though. Like, you shouldn't be put in a situation where you're getting derailed from what you're doing for something that may not have the priority that the other person thinks it does.
I know exactly what you mean. I've always been the kind of guy at work that if I feel like somebody's a good worker, even if they're new or they just kind of suck, but their heart's in the right place, I'll do everything in my power to help them and be totally cool about it. And we talked about this on a previous podcast too, is try to relate my own failures to them so they feel comfortable, because I feel like once you get into that zone, they learn better and they pay attention more. They don't feel threatened. And so, yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I think it depends on the person or the level of priority of my current task. Like, how important really is it? If it means me staying a little late, but it doesn't matter when it gets done, then I'm going to help the other person. But yeah, if it's some hardcore shit, I don't mind telling them, yeah, I can't help you right now.
Yeah. I think for me, it's primarily, and maybe that's just what it is now, is I'm starting to get more of a pet peeve about being derailed. Finally get into something, and then all of a sudden it's like, ugh, I got to stop this and do something else. You know what I mean? I can't. It's the getting the feeling of never being able to get anything done because of people's crazy communication styles and the need to be heard right now. You know what I mean? And that's another thing with all this technology, man, because you have email. Because if you send somebody an email, there's an assumption that you're going to read that right now. And it's even worse if it's like a text message or instant messaging. Because I get text messages sometimes, like, and I don't read them necessarily for like 2 hours. And it's not a slight by any means. It's that I may have heard the phone like vibrate or something on my desk, but I'm so busy I don't have time to look at it. You know what I mean? And I think that we've created this culture of everything being like right now and changing. If you get a text, like, that's now the most important conversation you're having rather than what you're doing. You know what I mean? And it gets into the whole back into multitasking, right? Is I can't take my focus away from something and have a conversation at the same time and give both the attention that they deserve, you know?
I do know. And for the last 12 years, my job I've had 3 different jobs now, but they've all been hands-on. And it's one of those things where there are certain things where I can't stop. Once you start, it's either because you're on a timer or because you're working with dangerous chemicals or heavy equipment. Something's going on and you can't just stop. You can't stop to answer a text. You can't stop to talk to someone and bullshit. This is one thing that drives me fucking crazy. I got to tell you this. Is whenever I'm working on something and I'm feeling good and I'm in the zone and I know I'm doing a good job and this shit's legit, and then somebody comes up to me and it's clear that I'm busy, I'm sweating, I'm dirty, I'm working with tools, I'm feeling good, I'm doing my job, but they still come up and they start trying to talk to me about bullshit that has nothing to do with work, period, or what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that shit drives me nuts.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't watch any sports besides combat sports, but it's always somebody's coming up and they're talking about the fucking game. Like where I work now, it's no problem. But before, dude, it's like, get the fuck away from me. There's always that guy, man, and he always looks the same too. He's got that little weird white trash mustache and he walks like fucking what the hell's that cartoon character's name? I don't know. Like a fucking like a Texas sheriff or something. He just fucking rolls up on you. Hey man, did you see the fucking Texans game or whatever fucking team it is? I can't take it.
Yeah, dude, sports wear me down for the most part. Well, first of all, I don't follow them, so I don't really care. But I'll entertain it for like 5 minutes or something, but I can't have a 30-minute discussion about what happened in a football game just because, here we are, we just did it with the MMA, but like, I just don't care. I mean, I haven't been able to find a reason to care about the outcome of the sport. So it's just uninteresting to me. And sometimes I feel bad, because like I'll go to lunch with sales guys and that's kind of their icebreaker a lot of times. They'll be like, so did you see the game? And I'm like, yeah, I haven't seen that at all. I don't even know what you're talking about. And what's funny is I went to lunch with a sales guy, and another guy that I work with was with us, and he didn't watch sports either. So it just went to this kind of like awkward silence. He's like, man, so did you guys see the game last night? And we were like, yeah, neither one of us watched sports like at all. And the guy, like, he didn't even know where to go from there, because that's like kind of everybody's like go-to icebreaker conversation.
So in your career field, though, you work with some, we'll say, sometimes, or you have to meet up with people who are trying to make relatively big deals, right?
Yeah.
And so they're trying to butter you up and become your friend. But have you ever just been like, fuck this, I'm going straight gangster? Like, you all sit down, you go to Olive Garden or wherever, you order your spaghetti, and then some guy, he's about to blurt out, you can just feel it, you can see it on him. How about that something game, and you're just like, look, let's cut the shit. Let's get down to fucking brass tacks. Is it tax or taxed? It's tax, brass tacks. You know that phrase, right?
Yeah, I've heard it, yeah.
Yeah, whatever, I'm an idiot. But you're like, let's cut the shit here.
No.
I have something you want, and you might have something I want. Let's make a deal.
Well, generally speaking, I mean, just what I do, I'm much more interested in the technical part of the conversation, because I guess another thing that's kind of unique about my position is, like, because I work in IT, for people who don't know, and it's a lot of introverted people that work in IT. I mean, there's exceptions, of course, but a large number of the people are fairly introverted. But then you get these sales guys who are extremely extroverted. They are sales guys because they're good at talking to people. They're good at making small talk. But sometimes you just kind of butt heads, right? Because you're interested in very different things. And it's cooler when they bring along somebody who's a little more in the know about the tech and stuff, because that's the conversations I'm more interested in being in, rather than making small talk about sports I don't care about. So I know it's kind of weird, but it's one of those things that happens enough that I wish there was a better way to go about it, And I remember our dad told me one time that, and he didn't watch a lot of sports. He watched some, but he would read the scores and stuff like that off the news just for that purpose. So when he would go into work and these guys would make, the sports small talk, he would at least know what was going on. He would know the score of the game and stuff. And maybe that's a good move, man. Like, maybe that's a good social move to keep the conversation going. I don't know.
I wouldn't knock that at all. It is, because honestly, just because I'm saying these things annoy me, that doesn't mean that they're a bad thing. It's just my personality type. But if you have great social skills and great communication skills and a little bit of, bullshit artistry involved, that can get you a really, really long way in life. Or just whatever you're currently doing, it can assist you in that. it's a great skill to have. I only possess it when I'm around my own kind. But whenever that foreigner comes in, it's just, I don't know, his teeth are too white, the kind of guy that bleaches his teeth and drinks coffee through a straw, like that guy. I don't know how to communicate with him. When he starts going off the rails, I don't know what to fucking say, man. I just kind of shake my head like, oh yeah, and I try to give the social cue as I'm walking away that I don't want to fucking talk to you, man.
Well, sometimes it's probably true that you and I are maybe a social anomaly too, because we may not have the communication skills. So here we are talking about communication, and we may not have even the fundamental skills that we're kind of talking about. Well, and we definitely have communication. It's almost odd that we're doing a podcast because we're not natural talkers. We're not people that, I mean, we talk to each other, and we talk to our close family and things like that, but we're not people that go out to parties and are just, rattling off, and not the social butterfly type. So I was reading a book a while back. Oh man, it's a famous book. It's like How to Make Friends and Influence People? Does that sound right? I
think that's it.
Yeah. So I haven't read the whole book. I bought it just because it's an interesting topic, right? And a lot of it is, it's kind of, I guess, adjusting your perception a little bit, and some of it almost seems kind of like bullshit artist a little bit, because it's exactly that, is kind of feigning a interest in things you're not interested in. That book, I think, is tied a lot to your kind of careers, right? They talk about you can get kind of held up in your career because you're not a social butterfly, because you're not out there, talking to everybody all the time and things like that. So, kind of the recommendation, I'm going to fuck this up, and somebody can definitely call me out on it, but it's more, the general idea is not really necessarily take interest in something that other people are doing, but educate yourself enough about it and be willing enough to talk about it that it's kind of like developing this small talk skill. That's really what it is. It's developing the skill of small talk, which is something that I personally I'm aware that I lack. You know what I mean? Like if I there's certain subjects that I can talk about all day long, but there's tons more that I can't, and because I literally either know almost nothing about it, or it's just something that I'm so deeply disinterested in that I just can't get involved.
I don't even know if I've read about it like you. I've read about introverts and extroverts and communication skills, and I'm looking at it and I see all the value in it and all the great tools, but I know that when I'm doing it and when I'm attempting to do it, that I'm either coming across as a little insincere, or I'm not staying true to my nature of who I really am. And I don't like that feeling. It makes me feel just uncomfortable. I mean, it's good to get out of your comfort zone. I mean, that's a generic term that we're all familiar with, but it is true in many cases. But that's just not who I am. And the more I read about this kind of shit and genetics and upbringing, and how you have a specific set of genetics and then a specific set or type of upbringing, and that's what makes you yourself unique. And when you put the pieces together, you should be proud of that. As long as your life's not in shambles and whatever you've become isn't causing you issues, but be proud of that. It makes you unique in your own way. So even if you're not the greatest social butterfly and you're not great at small talk, you're still good at these other things that you love and that you practice. So I think what I'm trying to say is I don't know. I'm not going to go too deep into it. I'm not going to really study it anymore. I've looked at it so many times because I'm sure like when you were younger, people have come up to you and said, "Why are you so quiet?" Have you heard that before?
Yeah, tons of times.
Yeah, I've
heard that.
I
hear that.
I do. I still hear it today sometimes too. I've heard that thousands of times. I'm like, dude, I'm so fucking sick of hearing this bullshit. It's not that I'm necessary. I guess I am a quiet person. It's that we're just not on the same wavelength. That's all. I don't dislike you. I just, I don't want to talk about whatever the fuck you're talking about, because when I'm talking to someone, I want to, if I'm going to decide, is this person really going to be my friend? Is, for one, they have to be an objective thinker on some level. They have to be. They have to be able to look outside of the box. They have to have good manners. They have to be able to have deep discussions without getting upset. Because I know for sure you have at least a few friends like this, and I have quite a few, is if it comes to politics or religion or evolution or anything like that, is you're able to maintain your cool and listen to their side and what they have to say because you're interested. You want to learn. But then when you give your opinion, it's almost like you're interrupted and you can't even finish what you're saying because they're so offended or so upset because they feel like you're telling them they're stupid because you disagree with them.
Yeah, I think that's almost a maturity issue. Or not maturity in the traditional sense, but I think more of a mature way of thinking is being able to have your ideas challenged and be okay with that and stay calm about it. Because I find this more and more as I get older is if you can make a persuasive enough argument about something, there's a good chance that I'll be on your side in a matter of no time. You know what I mean? Like, I think I'm going to get a little, this isn't really political, but it was a politician that said it, but like George Bush, you know, he came out and he made that statement, you're either with us or against us. And that is fundamentally untrue because there was a distinct third position of, I don't want to get involved in your shit. And so I think a lot of people have gotten kind of caught up in that way of thinking of this. There's only two ways to think about things, my way and your way. And thinking that if you're not with me on my way, then you're against me. And that's not necessarily true and almost isn't ever true. It's that I think about things a different way. And I think you have to have an open enough mind to, I think everybody should listen to people that they disagree with. And they should do that a lot because that's how you learn. Like, because if you sit in these echo chambers, man, we're going all over the place on this one, aren't we? If you sit in these echo chambers and just listen to people that you agree with all the time, that you'd have no room to grow, right? Because you're just hearing the same shit over and over. Just because you disagree with someone on some positions or most positions you believe doesn't mean that they don't have good things to say and don't have good points. Because you should always challenge your ideas, I think. So I try to reevaluate the way I think about things fairly often and call myself out on bullshit things that I think and try to correct that. Does that make sense?
It does. And I think you would agree with me on this. And it's not something that I don't think any of us like to do, like right when it happens. But when you're wrong about something, even if it was something you were passionate about and you're passionately arguing and then you just get proven wrong and it's just there, It's out.
Yeah.
One of the best feelings, and it may take a second to do it, is to admit you're wrong. And to accept it because before there may have been just a little bit of intensity behind what you were doing and a little bit of stress and it's all up in your face now. You were wrong and just admit you were wrong and let it out. And it shows strong character. It reduces your stress level. It allows you to learn again. That's a great thing that I won't say most, but I think it is most people will not admit when they're wrong. And if they do, they'll take it to the furthest point to where they're about to destroy a friendship or a relationship before they admit that they're wrong.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, dude, and I just have to reinforce this. Being able to admit you're wrong is so fucking beneficial to your life. It's so important at work, at home, in love life, everything. Just let that shit go. Admit you're wrong and show your strong character, man. That's
something that skill you're talking about right there. And I don't know if it's a skill, it's just a different way of thinking that's something I try to work on a lot is, you know, if I find myself defending a position for no reason other than to be right, or if I find myself trying to, well, I guess it's kind of the same thing. If I find myself presenting an idea for no reason other than it's always been that way or something like that, I try to call myself out on it. And of course, that's certainly imperfect. And sometimes it takes other people saying things, my wife or someone saying things that make me think about things a different way. Because I can tell you, like, since I've been married and just, you know, as I've gotten older and worked with different people and been around different people, a lot of my ideas have been challenged. Like, because, and you know this, I think I'm a very different person than I was 10 years ago. And I think you're crazy if you're not, right? I mean, but I've changed the way I think on a lot of things. Because I think when I was younger, I was a lot more hardline on a lot of things. Whereas now, I still am to some extent, but I'm much more open, though. Because I'm willing to reevaluate my ideas, even the uncomfortable ones.
Yeah, and I want to go back to, not to cut you off, but I want to go back to what you said about your wife. Basically, I think what you're saying is giving you a different perspective,
yeah,
or offering advice sometimes. And I have a special lady in my life too. And I know it sounded earlier maybe I was picking on the girls a little bit, but I wasn't, man. She, even just yesterday, I don't need to go into details, but she gave me a different perspective on an issue that was serious to me at the time. And once she did, I was like, holy fuck, you're right. You're absolutely fucking right. And this is going to sound cheesy as hell, man, but I remember this back in 2004. I lived in Pensacola. I was going to tech school for the Air Force. And we had this master sergeant come in. He's an E7. and we were waiting for our instructor to show up. Something happened. He was late. I don't know. So this guy came in to just, I don't know, mentor us until he showed up. And he's like, I gotta tell you, man, a lot of you, I see you young guys, young dicks out there, want some pussy, huh? You want to go out there and get some pussy? That kind of typical tough guy bullshit. He's like, I gotta tell you, man, once I got married, my whole life changed. And then he kind of sat on the desk, fucking took his jacket off. It was like fucking out of a movie.
Yeah.
He's like, I gotta tell you, there is no great men who do not have a great woman behind them. And at the time, I kind of cringed, and even in itself now saying it, it's sort of like douchey to say it, but there's truth in that. If it doesn't have to be a woman. I mean, if you're gay or transgender, whatever. But having that person behind you who's with you all the time, who knows your darkest secrets and your in and outs, for them not only to offer you a different perspective, but to give you the blatant truth without worrying about hurting your feelings. Because the truth is, you're probably not going to leave each other over them telling you the truth, right? Even if you're like, you get a little irritated by it. But having them give you that real talk, that real truth, really can enhance you. And it's something that should be appreciated. Not to get cheesy, but you know what I'm saying.
No, I think it's an asset. I mean, just having that person that can tell you those things honestly, because you may have things that you do or things that you think, and if you say you're single, you live by yourself or something, nobody may ever challenge you on that ever. And so when you have that other person to call you out on things and to just challenge your positions or the way you think, I think that's a great thing, and that's what helps us grow mentally, is having our ideas challenged and being able to get past that, and even if you don't change your mind, at least thinking about it again.
And I think a great example of, let's just say, someone who is single. It's not that you have to have a relationship with someone in a sexual way or whatever, but we know everybody knows this person, the internet philosopher that's like forever single, and in their mind they've built their own life around always being right and being an elitist and always, I don't know, just fact checking everything and leaving sources. There's nothing wrong with that, but there comes a point where they see it's not that they're bringing truth to the world, but they're just shitting on everything and everyone to bring value into their life. And I think that what would be an even greater value is if they had an intimate relationship with someone, and not necessarily sexually, but just like a truly great best friend, a person that they communicate with in person, who can call them out on their bullshit, or just be like, hey dude, I mean, it's cool to do what you're doing and to always strive to be right and to try to make the world better and scientific and make sense, but you don't have to be a dildo about it. So do you agree with what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I follow.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, I'm going off the fucking rails here. Okay, anyway, we always fucking do that, but I like it. I like it when we fucking get a little weird. Okay, So anyway, this Friday, so we don't forget to talk about it, we're going to Slipknot and Marilyn Manson.
Yes, sir.
And so we talked about this in the last podcast. The concert got canceled last June because Corey Taylor had a back issue or surgery, or his neck, or something like that. And so at the time, I didn't even know that Marilyn Manson was going to be there. And now I double checked. I looked on the website at the venue they're playing at, and Marilyn Manson will be there. And I'm really fucking happy about that, because when Marilyn Manson exploded on the scene back in, I don't know, it's some 96, right? 95.
It'd have been in that ballpark.
Somewhere between 95 and 96. That's when I found out about him, through MTV. And at the time, I love metal. I listened to heavy metal and shit. But because we were raised in such a Christian atmosphere, I didn't like anything to where I felt like it was genuinely satanic. And so I had it set in my mind, because when you're fucking 13, 14, however old I was, you don't know shit. You think you do, but you don't know anything. And so I thought this guy was like a devil worshiper, and that he fucking had his ribs removed to suck his own cock. And hey, I'm not, now as a mature adult, I'm not going to knock you for that. I'm not saying you should do it, but I'm not going to judge you now the way that maybe I would have then. And so I thought he was this evil fucking witch that was like turning children into fucking devil worshippers. I'm such a fucking idiot. I was so stupid. But because of that, I never got to really appreciate his music. Like, for example, like the song The Beautiful People, it's a great song. And even when it came out, I knew it was great. And it pissed me off that it was great because I fucking did not like that guy for those stupid reasons. You don't, so much of that is a show. I don't know what his beliefs are. I have no idea. As far as I can tell, he's probably like an atheist that likes to party. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I can't fucking wait to see him. I love Slipknot, but I'm more excited to see Marilyn Manson than I am Slipknot, dude. I can't stop fucking thinking about it because I've heard that for one thing, the shows are great. So first, Slipknot is obviously a great show, but I've heard that the Marilyn Manson shows are also quite a bit theatrical at times, that they can be really fun. And so I'm curious to see what happens. But have you seen Marilyn Manson live?
I haven't, and I've never been a huge Marilyn Manson fan. Is the reason. But now that you say that, I hadn't even thought about what his show is going to look like because I'm sure that I'm sure that he's going to have a huge show. Just based on what he is and his character. I hadn't even thought about that yet, but I bet, this is probably going to be 2 great stage shows back to back.
Yeah, and so, but I think that he's gone through phases. I haven't kept up with him at all. I've really never kept up with him. But the phase that I liked the most was the Tim Burton style phase, the really heavy goth and just awkward appearances, like tall and skinny with just crazy black Hellraiser clothes on and shit like that. That's what I'm hoping I see, but I don't know because I haven't kept up with him.
Dude, I have almost no idea what to expect out of him, to be honest, because I haven't followed his career almost at all. I mean, I'd catch him an interview here and there or something, but I mean, to the best of my knowledge, he still looks kind of the same. He's still got like the black hair, different color eyes, like white skin or whatever. But I don't know anything at all about his more modern music. I don't even know if he has modern music. I'm assuming that he has a new album or something he's touring on. But yeah, so in fact, I'm not even going to look at any of that before the show because I want to just go and experience it without even knowing what we're going to run into.
Well, the only 2 the only 2 songs, I went Mike Tyson on everybody here, but the only 2 songs I know are The Beautiful People and Sweet Dreams. He did that cover song, right? It was a cover?
Yeah.
It was like an English band or something.
So like, the radio tunes?
Yeah. So I kind of want to go on YouTube and see what I can find. Other hit songs or just songs that I can vibe with and groove with just so I can feel more part of the show or more part of the crowd, I guess. But at the same time, like you just said, I want it to be a surprise.
I feel like I know I did. I had gotten a copy of a cassette tape of his, I want to say, and this would have been the early 90s. I'm guessing this was, maybe 94, 95 or something like that. I remember one of his tapes, and I remember the music being okay. My tastes were always like a little bit heavier and less on the kind of goth side, so I didn't follow him too much. But I do seem to recall that some of that early music was pretty good.
Yeah, it may have been. The only shit that I've heard from him, like I said, was the mid-90s era. But it seems like he came out with a song called Superstar or some kind of star or something. I don't know, maybe in 2000, 2001. And I saw the video for it, and it was it was still weird, but going in a different direction. It had a lot more bright colors, less gothic, and I don't know. I didn't really like the song. I thought it sucked, honestly. But do you remember that rumor? Because we used to watch this show all the time, The Wonder Years.
Yeah.
And everybody said that Paul, his name was Paul, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that Paul was Marilyn Manson. And I was like, no fucking way, dude. There's no way that that's him. But I believed it because back then, Google's not, there wasn't Google back then, first of all. I mean, there was, what was there? Netgear, Net Explorer, what was it?
Netscape?
Netscape, yeah. But anyway, it took you fucking 20 minutes to load a web page. So, and even if back in the wild west of the internet, you couldn't rely on shit that anybody said. You just couldn't, unless it was from an accredited university or something. Probably worse then than it is now, because I'm sure it was much easier, right? Yeah. So, but what the hell was I talking about? So, yeah. So I thought that he was fucking Paul from the Wonder Years, and it pissed me off because I liked Paul. I thought that Paul was, he was allergic to everything.
Just a real stand-up guy. Huh?
Yeah, he was a stand-up guy because whenever Kevin, that was his name, right?
Yeah.
When he would like be fucking up or be rude or something, Paul would call him out. He might cry a little bit like a little girl, have his big fucking bottle black glasses on and all that shit. But he was like, you could relate to Paul because you knew that guy. He was your best friend when you were like 9 in fucking Boy Scouts. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like you knew Paul. But anyway, it's not Paul. That truth has come out. It's not him. And
didn't that dude, though, the Paul guy, is he the one that became a porn star? No, never mind. I'm thinking of Dustin Diamond or whatever. Screech. Never mind. I'm fucking going off the rails there. Yeah, complete different show.
Yeah. Shout out to the ghost Kelly Kapowski. And I don't mean that she passed away. I mean my version of Kelly Kapowski. But is that or is it Kapowski?
Don't get me fucking lying.
I don't know. Anyway, who cares? That's stupid. But yeah, so I can't fucking wait to go there. And the thing I'm not just pumped about seeing them is seeing the crowd. I want to see what type of individuals are going to show up to this show. Because as you call them, the graybeards, there's probably going to be a lot of people who are in our age group. And they're going to be kind of chilling in the seats with us. But what I'm more interested in is when I haven't been there in a long time to this venue you were going to, but when you get up closer to the stage, there still is a standing only area, right? Like a pit area.
Yeah, it's kind of small. It's more like the orchestra pit, right? Like, I mean, it's just kind of just like concrete area right at the front of the stage in front of the seats.
If you had to guess, though, how many people would be able to mosh in there? Like 100 or more than that?
Oh, I don't know. Probably. Yeah, probably. Something like that. About 100.
Well, that leads me to another question, because you used to go, I think you used to work at this place when you were younger.
I did.
And so you used to go to many, many rock concerts, metal concerts. And you used to be in the fucking pit. Like, you were like a pit dude. Where did you guys do that at? Was it up behind the
party
seats?
Was on the lawn, man.
The lawn?
Yeah. Yeah, because up on the lawn. That's where everybody that doesn't have any money's at, right? Like where we were, obviously. But because that's the big open spot. You know, like I can't afford $400 tickets to be in the pit up at the front of the stage. You know.
Yeah, but I'm so curious to see who is out there.
Well, Slipknot has different kinds of fans. I mean, there's dudes like us, right? But then there's kind of like the juggalos, you know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about. The dudes that have the pants that look like tubes and they're black.
Yes.
And they got like metal jewelry and shit hanging all off of them and like connected from their face to their clothes. And yeah, you'll see some of those.
How crazy is it though that, okay, as far as I can remember, that style came out in the same era, 95, 96, something like that.
Yeah.
The all black with fucking chains on, shit hanging out of your face and all that. And we don't see it anymore in public. You never see it.
No.
Maybe at Walmart in the late hours of the night.
Yeah.
But it's almost like they're vampires. They're so fucking rare, and you only see it like when the head vampire comes out to bring them together.
I almost wonder though, that might be just us getting old, dude. It's because people our age, with few exceptions, just don't dress like that. I mean, everybody's got jobs and shit now, so you can't be rolling around looking like a garbage pail kid.
But that's one of those styles, even though you never see it, is it still there somehow? Because most styles do not last for 20 years. One that does is the dad style. The flannel shirt, the blue jeans, and the work boots or tennis shoes. That shit's been around since that shit came out. Like, what, 60s, 70s, somewhere around there?
Yeah, standard dude uniform.
Yeah, but that it just looks kind of average, kind of normal. You don't think anything of it. But when you see a 110-pound girl that's 5'3" with all the black shit on the makeup, and she has a leash around some like 400-pound fat dude's neck. You remember that? You remember when we saw that? We were at Best Buy together
it's
many
incredible.
years ago.
Yes, I do remember.
This was back in the late 90s.
In the middle of Best Buy, yeah.
Back in the late 90s. We were going there CD shopping, probably looking for some fucking badass Pantera shit like a real man would listen to. And we're walking through the aisles, and I don't remember if it was a girl or not, but it was like a really skinny motherfucker with like dyed red hair and all black shit. And he had a leash around this huge fat dude's neck, and the fat dude had like what is it called, pigtails? Or whatever. Where there's like two of them, right?
They were like little pigtails.
Yeah. And here's the thing: that picture, I don't know if it's the same person.
I know exactly what you're talking about,
or if this is a coincidence. But most people have probably seen this picture at some point in their internet career, and it's exactly what I'm describing. But that's exactly what we fucking saw. And it makes me think that it's the same people. And if that's the case, in a sense, we saw celebrities that day. It's kind of special.
Yeah. Well, you can go to Hot Topic today at the mall, and they sell those cartoon character clothes. I don't even know what to call them, but you know what I mean? Like, you can buy those clothes right now with just black tube pants with spikes all over them.
Just for fun, I don't know. Would you be down to go to Hot Topic and go get some outfits like that for this show?
Oh, no.
Maybe get a Bozo the Clown wig and some big ass pants and a fucking, I don't know, some kind of tight, really douchey shirt.
I don't think I can do it.
Yeah, come on, man.
I don't know if I'm that guy.
Yeah, no, we're not going to do that shit. But it's funny because I was asking your wife about the concert, and I don't even know why. I didn't even think about it. I told her what I was going to wear. I was going to wear my Manowar shirt and some cargo shorts or something. I don't remember how it came up because of the summer heat or whatever. And she was like, oh, that's cute. You picked out an outfit. And I didn't even think about it. And I was like, you're right. I did pick out an outfit. I'm a fucking dildo. I picked out an outfit. I did it. That was not the most unmanly thing, but it's up there. If you're picking out an outfit, I mean, come on, man.
I don't know if that outfit includes a Manowar shirt. I mean, you're doing the right thing regardless.
Yeah, if you're wearing a Manowar
no matter
shirt,
how you came to it, I think it's an all right thing.
Yeah, it shuts out all the fucking dildo-ness everywhere.
All right, folks. Well, I think next show we'll let you know how the concert was. We're up a little over an hour now, so I think we're going to go ahead and call this one. John?
Cool, man. Yeah, this is fucking fun, dude. Man, yeah, it's I can't wait to do the podcast after this concert because I have a feeling we're going to see some crazy shit.
Oh, dude. So, just going to throw this in real quick. So, we got the preliminary sketch of the podcast art, and it looks incredible. It's a pretty early sketch. There's still a lot of work to be done, but I'm very pleased.
Yes. Oh, it's great. And the guy's name is Matt Jordan. It's either Matt or Matthew Jordan. It's one of the two. And this dude is fucking awesome. Not only is he a super cool and easy person to work with, I've done some stuff with him in the past, and he's so talented. And I think he's young, too. I don't know how old he is, but I think he's in his mid-20s or something. And when you see the shit that this dude can draw in a short period of time, he could make a best-selling graphic novel if he chose to. But this guy is the shit. We'll definitely get his website and give him a shout-out. But we're excited to show you guys this picture. He gave us... It's basically black and white, and I think it's a little bit more than beyond concept at this point. It's what it will basically look like, but he hasn't done some of the shading and coloring and things like that. But even in its current state, on my best day with 1,000 years of art training, I could not do what this guy can do. It's fucking amazing, man.
Yeah, dude, I'm super stoked. But yeah, we'll go ahead and put his link probably. Does he have a website?
Yes, he does, and we will get that, and we may do it after the show, but we're going to start giving him shout-outs because that dude is cool as shit, and he has many artwork pieces on there. He's just an awesome motherfucker. But before we forget, what's the call-in number?
Yeah. So please call in, leave us a voicemail. Anything you want to say, man. You got 3 minutes. You can say whatever you want. Number is 804-557-4691. That's 804-JJ-SHOW-1. I know I've mentioned it, but we're on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play now. Website, jakeandjohnshow.com. We're on Twitter, @JakeandJohnShow. Facebook, @JakeandJohnShow. We're all over the place. We're not doing a ton with this social media yet. We're still wrapping our head around to get everything designed. But go ahead and hook up with us, and man, it'd be a lot of fun.
All right, cool beans. We'll see you guys next week. Peace out.
Take it easy.